Namaste, Namaskaram, Vanakkam, Swagatam, Bonjour, Buongiorno, Buonasera, Buonanotte, Huya More, Boreda, Kio Ora, Salamat Pagi, Ayu Bhovan, Ayushman Bhavat, Shubh Dinam, Suprabhat, Salom. Greetings to you from Puducherry, the land of the Siddha tradition. Gives me great pleasure to be with all of you today, uniting our consciousness through that most amazing aspect of humanity, that which brings us all together, that of our Divine Mother, Yoga herself. Today, I felt like sharing with you some concepts of Upasana as a yoga. Upasana is normally understood as the performance of rituals in puja, and it is often brought out in the concept of worship. Yet, the yoga tradition takes it, as usual, a step further. Because the word upasana implies to sit close to be close to. Up, asana. Asana as a seating and up nearby. Now, the concept of asana can also be understood as a state of being where you have stability and ease. So, upasana as being close to that state of being which has stability and ease. It is often defined as being close to the Guru, sitting at the feet of the Master, or being close to the Divine. In fact, Saint Thirumoolar, who has given us the Saiva Siddhanta tradition of Ashtanga Yoga, which has the 8 limbs similar to Maharishi Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, he describes 4 methodologies, and he says there is the Charya Marga, the Charya Pada, the Kriya Marga, the Kriya Pada, the Yoga Marga, the Yoga Pada, and the Jnana Marga, Jnana Pada. And he says that through this, you can go through 4 ways of getting closer to the divine, the universe, that supreme consciousness. So he says, through the Charya Marga, you can come into what is called Salokya Mukti, as some people call it, or Salokya Moksha, where you are in the same plane of consciousness as the divinity itself. Wonderful, you are in the same loka. But then through the Kriya Marga, the Kriya Pada, you can go into Samipya, where you are close to the divinity itself. You are very close to the divine. Not only in the same region, but close to the divine, Samipya. But then through the Yoga Marga, the Yoga Pada, you become Sarupya, you take on the form of the divinity itself. Your divine nature starts to blossom. And then through the Jnana Marga, Jnana Pada, Sayujya, where you unite into that supreme consciousness. Salokya, Samipya, Sarupya, and Sayujya, Moksha or Mukti as they consider. The concept of Upasana is given as intense meditation by Adi Shankara. This intense meditation, which in the teachings of Maharishi Patanjali imply the samyama, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, which become one, trayamekatva samyama, as Maharishi Patanjali tells us. Focusing the mind on one place, object or thing, dharana. When it becomes uninterrupted flow, a seamless flow of oneness, that is dhyana. And then becoming one with that object of contemplation becomes samadhi, of complete absorption. Dharana, dhyana, samadhi. And of course, we cannot forget that all the preceding 5 limbs of yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, and pratyahara are a preparation for the antaranga yoga or the samyama yoga, which then becomes the upasana yoga also, where we are able to focus. And the initial focus has to be on things that you can know, because the process of growth, the process of learning, the process of evolution is from known to unknown. And that is why we have to move through the gunas from a saguna form of contemplation to the nirguna form of contemplation. But we are not yet ready for the nirguna contemplation. Hence, the saguna form of contemplation, which becomes its own meditative practice, its own contemplative practice, its own focusing practice, becomes a form of saguna bhakti, because upasana as an anga of the bhakti marga is also very important. And this is where the concept of Guru Shishya parampara is very vital, because the student sits at the feet of the Guru, sits close to the Guru, so that the amazing teachings can flow from the master to the disciple. Nowadays, Guru Shishya, master disciple, teacher taught has become provider, consumer. And as you know, consumer is always right. Well, they are not always right. Because the Guru is the one who knows what is it that the student needs rather than what they want. A consumer wants things, but a Guru understands what their Shishya, what their Chela requires to become the best version of themselves and attain Kaivalya, which is the only goal of human incarnation. And this is why Maharishi Patanjali has given us in the concept of Samadhi two forms. He talks about the cognitive Samadhi, Samprajnata Samadhi, where you have an object of contemplation. It is a Saguna form. As we said, Saguna, known to unknown, Saguna to Nirguna, Samprajnata to Asamprajnata. That is why sometimes Upasana Yoga is also called Samadhi Yoga. Some people expand it into Ashtanga Yoga also. Because ultimate Samadhi Sthiti is only manifesting when all the previous Angas, all the Angas come together, and then Samadhi Anga will flourish. Patanjali tells us very clearly, he says that the Sabija Samadhi, the Samprajnata Samadhi, which is Saguna, is moving from Vitarka Vichara Ananda Asmita Rupa Anugamat Samprajnata. So the Vitarka, which is on a gross object, which can be a form of the deity, it can be the form of the Guru. You are choosing a gross form to contemplate. It becomes Savitarka Samadhi when you perform Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi on it, Samyama. So Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, Samyama on a gross object, Savitarka Samadhi, and then as you go deeper into it, you clear your memory, you format your memory drive, and all the associations are removed, and then it becomes Nirvitarka. So Savitarka, Nirvitarka Samadhi. Then you have to go into the internal part, Vichara, which is now becoming more subtle. So first it was the gross object. Now it is becoming the subtle object. And again the same process. First contemplating the subtle object, that internal subtle object which is Savichara, clearing the memory of all its associations, Nirvichara. And thus we move from Vitarka to Vichara, Savitarka, Nirvitarka, Savichara and Nirvichara, and then we come into that state of Ananda and Asmita Rupa. As we start to question ourselves, who am I, Nan Yar, as Ramana Maharishi said. It is interesting that Ramana, who is definitely one of the Maharishis of the modern age, he was asked, Ramana, what is the most important asana that we can do? What is the most best asana? And what did Ramana say? Everybody thought he's going to say Chakrasana, Dhanurasana, Siddhasana, or the popular Shirsasana, Pinchamayurasana, Adho Mukha Shvanasana. Ramana doesn't do that. Ramana says Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana, which is that ultimate state where you are established in the reality, the treasured state of the reality. And the process for that has to go Shravana. You have to first listen. Then Manana. You have to contemplate. And then you become established in it. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Where does this occur? It is occurring close to the Guru, at the feet of the Master. And that is why the Guru Shishya parampara, where it is a Karna parampara, from the mouth of the Guru to the ears of the disciple, who then becomes a Guru, and from his mouth or her mouth to the ears of their disciples. And this is how the unbroken chain of the Guru Shishya parampara has continued for millennia in India. It is vital that the Guru Shishya parampara is understood. When we sit close to the Guru, we are sitting close to God. Because as Kabir Das tells us in his Doha so beautifully, if Guru and God were to appear at the same time, who do you pay your obeisance to first? And he says, to the Guru. Because it is the Guru who introduces you to God. And this is why when we talk about Upasana and Upasana Yoga, what is very important is that we learn to focus the mind. How can you focus the mind? The all pointed mind, Sarvartha mind, has to become Ekagratayo. Sarvartha Ekagratayo Kshayodayo has to occur. The Parinama has to occur. For that to occur, we need the foundation of Pranayama Sadhana. Because Pranayama makes us fit for the Antaranga. Dharana Sucha Yogyata Manasaha. And this is why Pranayama Sadhana is the base where the mind which is all pointed becomes one pointed. When the one pointed mind is now focused on a gross object, it starts to become a saguna form of dharana, dhyana, and coming into a saguna form of samadhi, which Patanjali so beautifully calls as the sabija or sampragyata samadhi. As we go through this process, we are moving through the different layers. We are moving from duality to non-duality, from dvitiyam to ekam. And this is why this whole concept can be understood as abhyasa yoga also, because it takes a firm commitment to keep focusing, come what may. All the distractions that are coming, we negate them, and every time the mind runs away like a wild animal, we bring it back to its original place. And as we start to do this, sarvartha ekagratayo, slowly and steadily, we move through the different layers of mudha, kshipta, vikshipta, ekagrata, coming into that state of niruddha. And we move from the saguna to the nirguna form. Upasana is a beautiful method to enable us to rest firmly in that state of stability and ease, the highest state where we can become once again close to the divinity, close to the supreme consciousness, and then we ultimately become that pure consciousness of Ishvara itself. Wishing you a wonderful sadhana through Upasana. May we all be blessed, and may we be a blessing wherever we are. Hari Om Tat Sat.